This budget freeze will require some tough choices. It will mean cutting things that I care deeply about. For example, community action programs in low-income neighborhoods and towns, and community development block grants that so many of our cities and states rely on. But if we're going to walk the walk when it comes to fiscal discipline, these kinds of cuts will be necessary. I'm convinced that if we outbuild and out-innovate and out-educate, as well as out-hustle the rest of the world, the jobs and industries of our time will take root here in the United States. Our people will prosper, and our country will succeed. But I'm also convinced that the only way we can make these investments in our future is if our government starts living within its means.
The president's putting out a very ambitious budget. It's a budget that would reduce the deficit he inherited, cutting it in half by the end of his first term. It would set us on a path towards having our fiscal house in a place where by the middle of the decade we're paying our bills and not adding to the debt. He's described it as a down payment, but it's an enormously important down payment.
This budget is really a cop-out. I mean, it's a new low in political cowardice, because despite all the flim-flam they have on top about some cuts, and I'll address that, down below where it counts, in defense, in revenue, in entitlement reform, there's nothing.
This is absurd what we're doing. The rich have had 20 years of the greatest boom in the history of this world. There's more wealth in this city than one could conceivably count. There are more billionaires. There are more people that have sheltered all their income. And we're turning around and we're just going to keep driving down the poorest of the poorest of the poor. And that's where we are. This is a game that's going to come to an end in a bad way.
We are moving in the wrong direction, and we've been moving in the wrong direction for quite some time. So it's not that the president's new budget that he puts out is what's causing us to move in the wrong direction. Unfortunately, it doesn't stop that move in the wrong direction. We have been on an unsustainable track for many, many years, and the economic downturn made those things much, much worse.
There's another aspect of the president's budget that's Reagan-esque. It assumes a 2/3 spending cut, 1/3 tax increase deficit reduction plan, which is exactly what Reagan agreed to with Tip O'Neill. The interesting thing here is that congressional Republicans who venerate Reagan on a daily basis don't seem to like that mix.
When you pull aside the curtain and look at all the smoke and the mirrors, it looks like to me that this thing has about $8 of tax increases for $1 of spending cuts, not $2 of spending cuts for $1 of tax increases.
There just isn't enough money on the discretionary spending side of the ledger to have a significant impact on this deficit. In fact, if you do all the cuts he's proposing, you're talking about probably less than 10%, a 10% reduction over 10 years in the deficit and the debt that's going to be accrued.